there was a time when fighting for a world title was massive. Like, it was massive. I remember those times, like in the early 90s. I mean, all the viewers in the UK will know, obviously, about the ITV shows. Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, Prince Nassim Hamed. Fighting for a world title was massive. And it wasn't just the pinnacle of boxing. In the UK, it was the pinnacle of sport. I mean, like, the viewership numbers were crazy. Go back, you can look it online, like 15, 16 million people would watch an average world title fight. Average. And you know it's average now. Back then it was massive. I mean, back then it was huge, but now you look at some of the fights that were on ITV and they were shit. But that's how big it was to fight for a world title. Nowadays in boxing, world titles mean... they mean something, but it's more that we follow the names rather than the belts now. You look at David Haye, Tony Bellew, no titles, nowhere near titles, and that fight was pay-per-view, box office, 20,000 O2 Arena. And then you can get some world titles that won't fill out a leisure centre. World titles in today's boxing, I think, mean very little. Maybe it's because of all these international belts and regular belts and all that shit, but they mean very little, right? And I guess it's the case with Liam Smith on the weekend. Liam Smith fights Munguia in a few days, and I mean, no one gives a shit. Like, it's bad. I give a shit, hence why I'm doing a video on it. Like, it's not on BBC News, it's not on their website, it's nowhere to be seen. I mean, it's as though this fight doesn't even happen. This, ladies and gentlemen, is for a legit world title. Like, a legit belt. It's not a joke. It's a legit belt. This is the belt that Miguel Cotto had. This isn't a regular belt like Rocky Fielding the other day. No diss to Rocky Fielding. I'm just stating the obvious. This is for the legit thing. This, 20 years ago on ITV, would be seen by 15 million people. This, in today's boxing world, for some reason, doesn't even get a look in. Doesn't get a look in. Straight off the bat, before we even start talking, I do think Liam Smith loses. I will be very honest with you. I think he loses. I think he's in against a young, hungry, fresh killer. I really do believe that. And I think there are Munguias in every gym around the world, and they just don't get a chance. Like, you hear about sparring stories. I remember I used to speak to Dougie Fisher a bit, and he used to always tell me about, because he's like addicted to watching sparring, but he wouldn't necessarily reveal some of the stories. But he would tell you about nobody's knocking out world champions in sparring. And I think Munguia is that kind of guy. I think Munguia is the kind of guy that everyone that knows about boxing has avoided, because he's just a monster at the weight. He's got superpower, comes forward, and he's just a nightmare to fight. And I just don't see how Liam Smith beats this guy. I think Liam Smith actually gets stopped. And I actually predict he'll get stopped mid-rounds to the body. That's my prediction. I don't actually even think that Liam Smith deserves this shot. I'll be honest with you. Yes, he's a former world champion, so I guess it's easier to climb back up the ladder and get those shots. But for me, if you lose to Canelo, he had like a gimme fight in Spain I think no one knew about, when he fought a guy that had like a really bad record. I can't remember the guy's name off the head. And then he had those kind of two tough fights with Liam Williams, who is European level. I don't know how that gets you to a world title shot. And that's the problem with boxing nowadays. And maybe that's the why people just don't tune in, because people look at that and think, well, you're not deserving of a world title shot. I will say this, though. Munguia is still an unknown quantity. You don't get much plaudits for beating up on Saddam Ali. Saddam Ali's 147. I know Saddam Ali beat Cotto, but come on. Cotto's last fight. You don't get that much plaudits for beating up on Saddam Ali. You don't. You get something, because Saddam Ali is a decent operator, but you don't get too much. Liam Smith is also a big 154 pounder. He really is. He's tall, hence his nickname Beefy. He has to boil down to make the weight. So he won't be able to bully Liam Smith the way he bullied Saddam Ali. Liam Smith will come, he will fight, he does know how to box, he does like to get stuck in, but again, I just feel like it comes down to who's fresher. And I think Munguia is like, he's a bit raw, but he's fresh. He really is. And I think he just overpowers and stops Liam Smith. But look, you never know. You never know. Liam Smith's been in there with Canelo, who was definitely on the juice. And he done okay until he got stopped to the body. Munguia is good, but he's no Canelo. So I think Liam Smith's got to tell himself that, like, this isn't Canelo. This is Munguia. It's a different opposition, but Munguia is not as good as Canelo. So he's got to maybe have that in his mindset. But look, back to what I was saying about people not being interested in title shots. What is going on? What do you guys think the problem is? Because again, we have a legit world, and this is more for the UK guys. We have a legit title shot here that's getting no airplay whatsoever. Like, nothing. I mean, years ago, and I'm maybe keep reminiscing here, but years ago, Liam Smith would be on a news channel and it would be literally doing the rounds on all the news channels talking about this opportunity. Now, he just gets, what, a couple of minutes on BT Sports, an IFL TV interview, and gets flogged off to America to get a beating. It's a strange world we live in. Strange world. But guys, what do you think? What's your prediction? I say, again, that Munguia will stop him 6-7 by a body shot. But what do you think? Can Liam Smith do it? I mean, can he do it? He can, but do you think he will? Like, really, do you think Liam Smith will beat Munguia away from home? I doubt it very much. But if you do, leave your comment below. What round? I want to know everything. Peace.